us. We've got to fight ahead of us. And we are the underdogs in this race.
U.S. Vice President and Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris enjoyed a rapid consolidation of party support in the 7 days since President Joe Biden abandoned his re-election bid. And nowhere is that more evident than when it comes to raising money.
The day after I announced my candidacy, we saw the best 24 hours of grassroots fundraising in presidential campaign history.
That immediate surge continued. Her campaign said on Sunday it has now raised $200 million and signed up 170,000 new volunteers. President Joe Biden ended his re-election bid on Sunday last week and endorsed Harris for the November 5th vote against Republican former President Donald Trump. Trump's campaign had nearly $285 million in cash on hand at the end of June, while the Democratic campaign had $240 million at the time. Polls over the last week, including one by Reuters Ipsos, showed Harris and Trump essentially tied, setting the stage for a close-fought campaign over the 100 days left until the election. Harris has secured support from a majority of delegates to the Democratic National Convention, likely ensuring she will become the party's nominee for president.
We have to win this election, most important election ever. We want a landslide that's too big to rig. If you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know, and vote. Vote early, vote absentee, vote on election day. I don't care how, but you have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote. Just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to.
Thousands of mourners joined a funeral procession on Sunday for 12 children who were killed in a rocket attack on the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. It marks the single deadliest attack in Israel or Israeli-annexed territory since Hamas's assault sparked the Gaza war on October 7th. And it is fueling fears of significant escalation between Israel and Hezbollah militants in Lebanon. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said he visited the town of Majd al-Shams early on Sunday, describing the site of the attack as, quote, a place where innocent girls and boys were murdered during a soccer game. He vowed to retaliate against Hezbollah for the strike. Hezbollah initially announced it fired rockets at Israeli military sites in the Golan Heights, but denied involvement in the attack on Majd al-Shams.
There is no justification for terrorism, period. And every indication is that, indeed, the rockets were the rocket was from Hezbollah.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Tokyo said Israel had the right to defend itself. But he said Washington also did not want to see further escalation in violence.
We don't want to see it spread. That has been one of our goals from day one, from October 7th on.
Majd al-Shams is a Druze village. The Druze are an Arab minority who practice a form of Islam and make up more than half of the 40,000-strong population of the Golan Heights, territory captured from Syria by Israel in the 1967 Middle East War and annexed in a move not recognized by most countries. Here's one resident who calls himself Haytham. He says, we need to strive now to sign a deal and stop this damned war. We want to live. We don't want to die. Israeli and Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon have been exchanging fire for months, but appeared to be avoiding an escalation that could lead to all-out war. Saturday's strike threatened to tip the standoff into a more dangerous phase, and United Nations officials urged maximum restraint from both sides. The conflict has forced tens of thousands of people in both Lebanon and Israel to leave their homes.
Nicolás Maduro Moro, presidente reelecto de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela. Y va a haber paz, estabilidad y justicia después del 28 de julio a partir de hoy. Paz.
Queremos decirle a todos los venezolanos y al mundo entero que Venezuela tiene un nuevo presidente electo y es Edmundo González.
Bien. Nuestra lucha continúa y no descansaremos hasta que la voluntad del pueblo de Venezuela sea respetada.
equity markets rebounded from last week's losses on Monday. Japan's Nikkei index was up around 2% in morning trade. Shares around the rest of the region rose about 0.7%. The gains come ahead of a closely watched policy meeting at the US Federal Reserve. Traders bet the central bank will lay the groundwork for a rate cut in September. Futures prices imply markets are betting on a quarter-point reduction that month. Combined with recent earnings and economic data, UBS Private Wealth MD Brad Bernstein says it's a rosy outlook for the second half of the year.
So you have better than expected economic growth, you have better than expected earnings, and you have a Fed that's going to make money cheaper and cut interest rates, which will stimulate corporate America and the economy. So it's a really positive setup going into the second half of the year.
The Bank of Japan also meets this week, with investors seeing a high chance that rates there will go up. That would close the gap with the Fed and ease pressure on Japan's embattled yen. The Bank of England meets too, with prospects for a rate cut there looking finely balanced. It's also set to be a huge week for earnings, with some 40% of the S&P 500 by market worth set to give updates. Numbers are due from big names including Microsoft, Apple, Amazon and Facebook parent Meta. Analysts say expectations are sky high, meaning any disappointment could rattle tech stocks. Among individual share movers Monday, Japanese pharmaceutical giant Eisai plunged as much as 12% after the EU rejected its new Alzheimer's drug. But Mitsubishi Motors jumped 6% after reports it could form a three-way alliance with local rivals Nissan and Honda. Nissan looks to be facing a deepening problem in the US. Reuters sources say it cut output by a third at its top Japanese plant this month as it struggles with demand. Among other things, that will slash production of its Rogue crossover. The sources say it will now make around 10,000 of the cars for export, or about half what it had previously planned. There was no comment from the company. But the report comes just days after Nissan said its profits were almost completely wiped out over the April to June quarter. It's been forced to do big discounts to win sales in the US, amid criticism over an aging lineup of models and weak demand for its electric cars. The company also doesn't offer hybrids in the American market, meaning it's missing out on the boom for such vehicles. Though Nissan has promised a wave of new model launches, analysts say its target of boosting sales by 1 million cars per year looks in doubt. Separately Monday, media reports said Mitsubishi Motors is in talks to join Nissan's alliance with local rival Honda. Analysts say that underscores the pressure on automakers to work together to develop zero-emission vehicles and other technologies. A three-way alliance would range Nissan's team against that led by Toyota, which partners with Suzuki, Subaru and Mazda. There was no immediate comment from any of the companies involved.
About her mental health struggles and the lasting impact of past traumas in the July 18th episode of The Kardashians. She shared with her sister Khloe how the 2016 Paris robbery profoundly affected her psyche and her ongoing journey with therapy. Kim shared breakthrough moments from therapy, revealing her calm demeanor might stem from trauma desensitization. Her therapist suggested that her calmness, once a survival mechanism during the robbery, has become a default stress response. Khloe noted that Kim's behavior changed significantly after the robbery, contrasting her current calmness with her past intense reactions. Khloe explained that Kim's calmness after the robbery became a survival tactic ingrained in her personality. "You were never calm before," Khloe said. "You used to cry over everything and throw tantrums. After the robbery, though, you stayed calm, which you even said helped you survive." In a confessional, Kim reflected on how her trauma has shaped her, recalling the terrifying experience of having a gun held to her head and being tied up, with the attacker advising her to stay calm to survive. Kim followed the advice to stay calm, believing it was crucial for her survival. She now feels that this excessive calmness might have led others to take advantage of her and made her emotionally detached. "I remember him saying, 'Just stay calm and you'll live,' and I did," Kim replied. It helped me survive, but now I think I've become so calm that people might exploit it, or I'm turning into a robot with no emotions. The traumatic event occurred on October 3rd, 2016 during Paris Fashion Week. While staying at her apartment, Kim was bound and threatened by 5 armed robbers who posed as police officers and stole around $10 million worth of jewelry, including her engagement ring. Kim Kardashian's bravery in confronting her trauma is admirable, but the 2016 robbery clearly left lasting scars. The harrowing experience of being held at gunpoint and the violent theft have profoundly impacted her mental health, highlighting how deeply such trauma can affect anyone.
You start in there.
Das ist einmalig und sowas sieht man im ganzen Leben nicht wieder. Und die Sache an sich, das Ballon und Flamme, und das ist noch nie gesehen. Das ist was Neues, deswegen.
From the world, global. It's all one world. All world. We're all together. Yeah. One world. Yeah.